Hey, everybody. Thanks for tuning into the Marriage is Tougher Than Woodpecker Lives podcast. This is Brian, joined by my co-host, Paul. We'd like to welcome you to a community meant for the men of the world to share their thoughts and perspectives on marriage. We can learn from each other's experiences and help each other be better husbands. Today's topic is I am or I want to be. We're going to discuss the difference between who we say we want to be and what we're actually putting into practice.
And before we get all the way into the episode, we'd just like to encourage you to lean into community. That means you can reach out searching Marriage is Tougher on all social media platforms. It's Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. You can also check us out at marriageistoffer.com, which is our website, which we have a contact form if you'd like to be a guest or if you have any feedback for us. Also want to say thank you for stopping by. If this is your first time, we appreciate it. If you've been rocking with us for a while, we also say welcome back. All right, let's hop into this episode.
All right, man. So, who are you? Who do you want to be?
I'm a real boy. Let me stop. I feel like I'm always seeking to be a better version.
I like that.
So there is a part of me that feels accomplished as far as like reaching the goals that I want in marriage or me as a man. And then I feel like there's areas where, say, like fatherhood, I always feel like there's more. That's a glaring spot where it's like, oh, you can be a better dad. You can improve on that. And then sometimes I cockily, if that's a word, I'm like, yeah, I'm good as a husband. But then, something will quickly remind me that there's room for improvement as well.
Yeah.
So either a situation or a topic or just not being consistent in communication will be like, oh yeah, consistency is king. Got to do that. So I hope that answered your question, but that helped me get some things off my chest.
Yeah. I think the sensitive piece for me, or most sensitive piece, is being a better father. I am actively working on that as I have put myself in a space where I can be home more, right? It's just a different experience for me to, this is as bad as it sounds, I guess, just be with the kids as often as I am now. So walking through that, I just want to be honest with folks out there. I'm not saying I'm a bad dad by any stretch, but the thing I'm working on specifically is just being more in the moment with my children, right? Because now that they have more access to me, they want all of the access.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, it's figuring out what the balance is of, the things that I need to get done at home. There are still some things that I need to accomplish with work. Still making sure that I dedicate time to my wife and dedicate time to them, and then on that husband piece, I've been trying to walk that out for these last few years. And it's been a journey, right? Like, I don't care how long you've been working at it, man. You'll never be perfect. And I think I'm really starting to face that, right? Like, I sometimes just get tired, and I know there's things that I could be doing that would make my wife's life easier, or, and, sometimes I'm like, that could wait. Like, let's just chill on the couch for a minute. Like, I've been going all day, and you've been going all day. Like, why do you want to just sit down with me?
Right. Don't you want to just look at this cushion right here? Does
Yeah.
that look great?
You can sit on my lap if you want to.
Right. It's all available.
But, all the things need to get done. So I get it. But yeah, man, So going back to the purpose of the podcast topic, who I want to be, and you know who I'm actually or actively walking out. What I guess what I want to say is going back to those struggles that we've admitted that we have. What are some of the things that you readily say that you want to be, and like what things are you doing to change to make that how you want to walk out your life?
It's a good question. I want to be a consistent communicator of all things, right? As you know, different topics, or if you don't know, different topics in marriage um, have a different weight, maybe is the way I want to say it. But it's, in essence, it's easier to talk about different things consistently than it is to talk about other things. It can be personality based, right? Are you a person that doesn't mind challenges and confrontation? Or are you someone that's like, it'll just let it be as it is? Or like, are you the, no, I'm not talking, I'm running, right? So depending on where you are, for me, communication is um, where I want to be better. And I want to be fully communicating clearly on all topics, whether it's from what do you want to eat to what's going on with the kids to how I'm feeling that day, how she's feeling that day, whether it's our calendars, which for me, it's usually, that's usually the easiest thing. What's going on? Did I just go down the list? But to carve out time to say, hey, it's time for our financial meeting, like that, I might be like, nah, we're kind of busy. Oh, it's too late. Or she's got meetings, I got meetings. Oh, I got to go into work today, so I can't. Like those type of things. Or, oh, it's family time, so like we can't do that or anything like that. Um, so being consistent, actually, someone asked me how they could pray for me this week. And I was like, I need to be consistent in communicating everything, not just the things that are easy to communicate. So I think that's one of the things that's on the forefront of my mind is I want to be an amazing communicator. I want to be a consistent communicator.
Mm-hmm.
So not just saying what I mean, not being able to say what I mean and how I mean and being clear, but talking about that consistently all the time when it's appropriate and when it's needed to be said. Um, so yeah. Oh,
And
how am I working toward that?
yes.
Self-evaluation. Having friends ask me what I need prayer for and actually thinking about it and saying, hey, I need prayer for that. Because in essence, then I can pray for myself for that.
Right.
And then when I do that, I'm more open to realizing when I'm not, and then having the confidence to talk through it. Like, hey, like, Holy Spirit, help me do this thing, man, because I need to talk because I'm not so good when it comes to this area. Um, so it's more being self aware. It's really evaluating, being open, being honest with yourself, and then trying to put into practice. And for me, if it's on the forefront of the mind, it's easier to realize when you are or when you aren't. So if
Mm-hmm.
you can set up something that makes you realize whatever that area that growth area that's needed, and then to be able to put effort to it and actually like get out there.
Yeah, that communication piece, man. I'd have to double down on that because it's something I'm very aware that I struggle with, and it's not all things, but specific to my wife. If there is something she asks me, like, "What's wrong?" right, and I know it has something to do with her, I struggle to be honest about that. because I don't want to be in that space. Right. And so that's something, in order to change that, I need to practice. That's something that, we spoke about in therapy, and probably should have spent more time on, particularly practicing, because, my answer is typically like nothing. And, I was able to wrap that up in, I guess, a hidden form of like, I don't really want to talk about it, or I don't feel I should be upset about this. So if I'm granted the time to, I can't even say process it, but it's more or less just bury it, eventually I'll get past it. Right. And what I've had to become cognizant of is she feels that entire transition. Right. So obviously she's asked me what's wrong. And because she knows me, she knows there's something wrong. And no matter what my answer is, like, she still knows there's something wrong. Right. So we get through that. And now I'm trying to grab this space for myself to recover from it, because I don't want to be in that space. So, right. So now she still knows something's wrong. I don't want to talk about it. Right. So now she goes to being upset that I don't want to talk about it. And then maybe I get past it. But now she still knows that, one, she identified something was wrong. I didn't tell her what it was. And now what does she do with that energy? Right? Like, I get over it and I'm just expected to have her be like, oh yeah, everything's fine now because you're being cool again. Right? And so I fully realize this, but I still struggle with it because I haven't practiced it enough. Right? And I think I told you one day that there was something very difficult that I needed to tell her. And I felt the most appropriate thing for me to do was ask her for permission. Right? I was like, there's often times when I know what I have to tell you, or at least it feels to me that it'll make you upset. Right? And the thing about it is, like, these are just my feelings. And so I had to lay it out there. But in asking for that permission, it was still difficult, but it made it a little simpler in my mind to say what I had to say. Right? And it was like nothing crazy, but I just knew, like, she would get upset about it. And it had to deal with her. Right? So, and then even after I got it off my chest, like, I felt a little bit better, but I was like, is this cool? Like, is it okay for me to have these conversations with you? And she was just like, yeah. Right. But again, it's still a struggle because I need to do more of a deep dive into it. Like, I don't know if it's, I don't want to be in that space, or if it's a combination of that and I don't want to upset my wife. Right. But if I really think about it, I am slowly killing myself. Death by 1,000 cuts, right? I cannot continue to show up for her as the husband I want to be. Number one, if I'm not walking out what I say I want to be. But number two, I can't be that husband if I am constantly burying things that, make me upset, or, if I continue to bury communications that I need to make because it's an uncomfortable space. Right. And I've lived both lives. I've lived a life where I buried everything. We didn't talk. I've also lived a life where I said the difficult things and I feel so much better on the other side. We get to deal with the problem and we move past it. So I'm struggling in that area of, why can't I just remember how good it feels to be on the other side of it, right? And throw myself willingly into that space just to get to the other side. Mm-hmm. Right? It's like I've got fire all around me, and I've got this pool that I could jump into and get to the other side and be safe, but I'm acting like I don't know how to swim.
Man, it's funny. I was thinking of a swimming analogy as well, but it's almost like you're swimming right past your comfortability level, right? Like you see the pool and it's like, man, like I have to get there, but I know I have to push a little bit further than I want to. And it's like, because, when you're swimming, like it's out there. And if you can't touch the bottom, it can be terrifying. Because
Right.
you're like, what if I get tired and just stop and die? Like, I don't know why our mind goes there.
Yeah, because
Um,
that's never happened. I don't
yeah.
have any experience like that. I've never seen it that happen to anybody else.
Right. But in your mind, that's what happens. Um, So yeah, that is a great analogy. Like you can do this. You can swim. You can make it. You just have to push yourself further than you're comfortable and maybe what you've ever done before, but it's still in reach to get to the other side. And when you do, it'll be so much better. So much. Yeah, that's very good. And thanks for bringing that around and who we want to be and who we've been. Like
Yeah.
we've been that person and it's like why am I not consistently that person? Um, so yeah, there's a difference. I think it's the example that you had was I show up for my wife, and then I want to be the guy who shows up for his wife,
Right.
and that's the thing. The good intentions mean nothing without action. So it's how do we turn our intentions into actions so that we can say that we are who we say we are and not saying who we want to be. And I think for marriage and for life, you're going to always want to be more, or you should always want to be something, but you should have a lot more I ams or I do's than I want to be's. I think that's the point of what we're talking about is to be able to do that consistently. One, to be okay in the struggle like where you are now, Brian, but know that I have to put effort to get there and I need to be better. And when those opportunities come, like I was saying, like when it's on the forefront and you're thinking about it and you're meditating on it and you're praying on it, like, okay, when this happens, I'm going to do this, or I'm going to expect myself to do that. Then you just dive in the pool. Try to go a little further.
Yeah. And you hear some people say sometimes, like, use statements like, I am this person, right? And it's not always that simple. But I think that's a good start. And I think the more that you declare who you are, the more it will propel you into the action that it takes to be that person, if that makes sense.
That makes total
So that
sense.
that is something I'm working on. And honestly, I'll even say that to myself in the moment, right? Like if there's something I don't want to do, I will say, yeah, I am this person. I have to do it. Right. And that sometimes gives me enough spark or energy to go and have that conversation with her, or, say the thing, or, do the thing.
Yeah, words of affirmation are super important. Um, and it's something you should do. I definitely agree. It's got me through some things like, okay, I am patient. I am patient. I know how to walk through this. I've done this before, kind of working through those things. And I don't want to minimize the struggle of like becoming that person. In essence, I think that's what you're saying. So I think it
Yeah.
is good to talk about who you want to be and who you are to kind of get you through that. But it just, in essence, it helps you show up and be that person. And any tool that we can use to become who we want to be, I say use it as long as it's healthy, of course.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good, man. I appreciate this talk, man. I'm glad I got to put that out there, but I know full well that once my wife hears it, she's gonna be like, "So, what do we need to talk about?" So, I'm
True.
gonna go prepare for that.
No, that's good. Um, so yeah, we appreciate you. I enjoyed this conversation. It really allowed me to think on some things. Um, if this conversation you helped you out in any way or had your mind going, please feel free to reach out. Go to marriageistougher.com, leave a comment there, or search Marriage is Tougher on any platform. Hit us up in the DMs on Instagram, Facebook, or leave a comment on our YouTube page. We'd really appreciate it. We really just want to make a community of men trying to have good marriages and be good husbands so that we can continue to be better. So we appreciate the time. Again, if you would like to share this with someone, if it impacted you or will spark the conversation, even with your spouse, I say go ahead and do that as well. But we really appreciate the time, and we will chat with you later.
Peace.